All right, let's hope I got this all worked out. I had some glitches here, but hopefully everything's coming right. No drop frames. Got a live screen here. Fantastic. Let's get into it. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of GPT with me. And your host, Travis Frisinger here. Just documenting my journey about developing for generative AI and developing with generative AI. Critical intersection here. So I've got the agenda up on the screen. Title this episode, Rethinking Workflows with Gen AI. I want to explore the two concepts. I've gotten Scribe to a point where it works end to end as a generative AI piece. It's not just about building with generative AI for generative AI. It's actually something there, and it's working. And I want to talk about that. So I'll go through a see it in action, have a quick look at the code, navigate around Langsmith. I just kind of want to talk through my experience integrating with it. Not a bad one, just want to talk about it. In the future, kind of where I see Scribe AI going, and then this other kind of tool that encompasses this workflow, the bigger kind of meta picture here about being a developer working with generative AI. Why I think it's important, I think there's limitations. There really are contextual limitations and so much value you can kind of squeeze out of where the tooling is now. And I think a lot of it's more focused to kind of junior to mid folks. I think as a senior developer, it's a lot harder to advocate for the tooling, and I'm using senior to encompass everyone from a title of senior up to principal, possibly technical director if you're still developing. The experience, right? That's what drives this. All right, cool. So let's get into it before I start rambling too hard. Here is the current incarnation of Scribe. It's up, it's running, it's localhost. I haven't gotten it out yet. That's going to be obviously the next set of things. You can log in. It doesn't do much. Just wanted to get that piece working fully. You can drag a file here. You can give it a YouTube URL. And now you can go through the enhancements. These actually work. Every single one of them is wired up to give a response. So let's just go to make paragraphs, ask it to transcribe this video link. Excuse me. You can see I got my favorite test one here. It's 1 minute and 12 seconds long, kind of change the duration. So now you can get the transform summary or the full text. If you copy, it'll copy whichever one's highlighted. Just kind of allowing you the option to see. It allows me to compare, troubleshoot really quickly. Am I getting what I'm looking for? So here's the paragraphs one. I took it and kind of broke it into more paragraphs. Here's the summary one. It's trying to give me key takeaways and action points, which seem relevant given kind of the comedic nature of the video. Here's one from an internal meeting we had. I'm not going to focus too much on that. In fact, I'm just going to go kill that, so I'm not there. And then here's a couple different ways I looked at a short video on systems thinking. Someone who posted in a Slack channel, really good little kind of highlight reel as it was of a larger talk. I watched it and I went, cool, how would my tool react to that? So I gave it 2 questions. I asked it for keywords and I asked it to summarize. Now it's kind of hard to see my little panel here. It's all markup, it's a prototype, right? I've built with generative AI, kind of developing a new workflow, a new way of working that relies pretty solely on prompts and image inputs, kind of a multimodal way of working to get here. And I think that's pretty cool. The inspiration was successfully completing a music album with generative AI. Now, granted, it wasn't really hands-on, but it is typically a laborious process, right? Music production's not simple. Otherwise, we'd all probably see a lot more songs out in the world. So I was like, cool, if I can do it for music, how much can I stretch this into software? Now, I'm happy to say that I can stretch it pretty far. I put the login to kind of say, hey, look, there's security, there's rate limiting. There's some factors here that I'm going to need to get this up and out. But I hit that same context window where I was like giving it all the code, and then I would ask it to do some things. And like the number of times it lost the ability to only have it switch one of these, or this was linked to this drop down. I think 3 or 4 times I went through it, but in the name of like pursuing this goal, I suffered through. And I kind of got to the end of it and went, okay, cool. I got a system of value. It's here. I clearly need to think about better ways of building context, which is great because this script is just, that I'm using is just a script and can, kind of building out the graph of interdependencies is a known problem. There's nothing super special there. Potentially gets me to push into some kind of graph raggy type thing. I don't know. I haven't even begun to think about that architecture. I've got 2 simple scripts that do the job. I'm still able to cut them back and cut sections out. So just for reference, wasn't that? It was this one here. So the idea being is I took a little bit of code out. This one on the router. I had an issue with the refresh token not coming back if it had expired and just getting kind of unauthorized problems. So I cut that section out specifically and said, hey, help me. It fixed it up and it worked. So that was it. That was the end of the interaction. But it was far more localized. I wasn't applying the big concat everything, throw it at it, hope for the best type. I knew that technique kind of hit its wall, and I was now, even though the context window was big enough to take it, I was now in the space where I needed to start being a little more selective about this. Now, maybe there's a way of doing it with the co-pilots out there. I sure as heck can't find it. I sure as heck don't know how to put an image in and say, hey, look, you messed this piece of the styling up. Kind of leaning into the multimodal. This all could end in fire. I could go build a slightly more advanced version of the tool. None of this works. Or this could be a really interesting, neat way of unlocking value for senior folks. Anyway, back to this. It's going to do the various things. What I like to do is I like to pull this out into Visual Studio Code and have it look at it in kind of rendered markdown. So it's going to give me the summary, definition of independent systems, key points and takeaways. So action points and takeaways, action points and key takeaways. I think that's what I called it. But anyway, there's some standouty type things. I'm just looking at it from a different lens. Same material, just asking it to pull up the keywords. I think of this as a really succinct summary. It's going to give me that and a small description. So system, whole, consists of parts, independent. Redefining the system should focus on what you want right now. Less important than discontinuous improvement. So continuous improvement. Discontinuous into creativity, break from the past. So watching the video, it's 4 minutes. You can go make your own judgments. But these are some pretty much the key concepts there. Maybe it needs to be a little more succinct. Maybe I need to find ways of kind of dialing this in a little bit better. But at the end of the day, it's cool to be able to see it working, kind of compare and contrast these 2 ways of getting information out of video. I like the copy button. I think that's a good move. Longer term, almost, what's the order here? See in action, review the code. So we'll get to the code in a second. Longer term, I'm probably going to reduce the number of options here. Maybe not. There's no harm in them. They don't do a lot. I would probably change the transcript type to just being a regular transcript, especially in the demo piece here. So this has always been intended as kind of a landing page demo. I like it because I don't have to open up prompt management to people. They still get to see the kind of the benefit of generative AI without having to craft their own prompts. Now, obviously, as a paid user or even just a logged in user, maybe I'll make it a paid thing. You'd be able to kind of go do your own custom prompts on this data. You'd be able to say the transcripts, chat with them. There's just a richer ecosphere. Arguably, longer term, I'd love to be able to pull all my content creation into a space, chat with it. Maybe on live streams, I can think about some longer form video ideas. Maybe there's a way to cut out some shorts. Maybe there's a way to craft a blog or a podcast, or look at a chunk of the series to explore a section for the book that I'm writing. Just tools to better interrogate this information, right? This unstructured information, better ways to digest it, better ways to work with it. That's really the sole focus of this tool. And probably will remain as such. I don't think if I have ambition to go start writing another tool that I'll have a ton of time to work on this. But you never know. Maybe I'll get some collaboration from folks and we can move it forward. I think there's utility here. I definitely want to get it up and out, so at the very least, there's kind of the sign up, pay me $5 a month. I don't know. I'm not looking to make a ton of money, just looking to validate the concept and offset some of the costs that are inevitably going to come with running this. All right, I've talked enough about non-code things for such a simple system. It's cool, it's here, it works, and hopefully very soon it will be something that you all can go play with and tell me how many things I've broken or not considered along the way. I'm just going to not save these. There's really no value in those. That's interesting. Okay, so just going to keep popping that up. Don't save. Cool. The code. Okay, so let's start at the top. Let's start at the UI. We'll go through here, go through source, hit the components. It's really a lot of the codes sitting here. It's 354 lines. I probably could clean this up. I mean, this was, like I said, this was written by, I don't even need that. This was written by AI. So here's some generative AI tooling that's trying to tell me that still. Maybe I do. I don't know. Let's go see it. No, it didn't have any problems with it, so I don't think I need it until you trust my ID a bit more. So the idea is basically all I've changed was to where is it? When I make a call, oh, here it is. I passed the transformation option through. Super simple drop-down list here. That goes through to the API. Remember, this is all kind of just straight shot through. If we go to the roots, it's going to get picked up here, pulled out, rendered. It's all just passed through. The API and the UI are there to just kind of simplify this process. Once it goes through, it comes to the, I guess, poorly named method class folder now called translator. This does do translation and transformation. Maybe we should call it TNT. Okay, and then, one thing I didn't show over here is because we're using Python as a middleware piece, because that's where it started. Why refactor the world? It now needs to pass through the transform option. Someday this will just write a nice little message to blob storage. And I can still integrate and debug things, all of that fun stuff. So once it's done that, we come back over. I don't need that or that. I come back over to the transcribe. There we go. App's going to pick that up. And here's where it's going to go. Hey, cool. I know I need to kill some of this file writing and all this, right? Like I tune this up a bit so it's a bit faster. So it's going to have gone through, adjust the transcript if necessary. So if we're using VTT or an SRT transcription type, it's going to have timings. Those timings are going to get reset per segment on larger audio files, and we need to kind of realign the indexing there. Runs the transformation, similar concept, go to the transformation factory. Here's your service map, just based on the option. It's been passed through the chain, go look it up and return it. It knows the API keys it needs. I do have a none transformation, just because it was easier to just have it return itself than to put some kind of extra special route in the code. I prefer to not do that. Just have it terminate successfully here. And then we've got the other kind of transformations, and they all are really simple. There's a ton of repeated code. Yeah, I could have probably just literally had this piece pass through as well. Take the Mango refactor to do that. I don't know. Not so keen on just making extra clean code. Remember, I've been trying to work with it through generative AI. It's definitely at the state where I need to be able to start putting more testing on things. I think some of my back and forth could have been mitigated if I had an average test suite, not even like a good one. So I'm going to kind of explore those concepts. They may themselves derail the Codex tool idea. I don't know. I've got to get better at building context and having it understand what I'm working with. And I don't think getting generative AI to do that is the right thing. There's definitely some graph theory in there somewhere. But they all come through. So it's got the OpenAI client. And then it's got the chain. I'm not even sure I need a client anymore. I had intended to invoke this non-proxied. My last video kind of went on about that. And ultimately, I couldn't get the model settings. The piece I had to trade off. Do I take the model settings with the stuff from Langsmith, or do I manage the model settings independently? I've opted to kind of keep things here. So I may actually go kill that as well. The README is vastly not up to date on what settings you need where. I should definitely go correct for that. At least get it into a state that if folks are out there, they want to pull it and run it, they can. That would be my ideal. So each one of these is the same, right? It's got kind of the transcript that it's pulling. Sorry, the transcript. It's got the prompt it's pulling to do the transformation from Langsmith. It's all the addition really was that, and then some UI work. I probably do want that open now. Some UI work. If I go to UI source components, to then take it and render these pieces back. You know which tabs open, the transform, the regular, update the duration, and then basically gave it the option to display those both. As you can see here, no longer. That's just the ChatGPT. Like, probably going to struggle with that. And I was obviously things that I would need to fix up along the way here. Oh, I did not log into Langsmith. Sure, there's a login somewhere. I just never remember. Here we go. I'm here. I can close this out. Just copy it. And just give it a non-option. Now, okay, so I've got a Langsmith. All right, I'm in the right workspace. My Scribe UI. Where do I want to go? I want to go to my prompts. So it started here. I'm going to edit it in the playground. So summarize the transcript below, highlight any action points and key takeaways, and then I inject the transcript, right? Here's a variable. Here we go. We'll wait for that to finish here. Close that too. Nothing too exciting. You see it can take some tools. I can model the version of things here. I'm just went with 4.0. I haven't given it much thought at all. It was about getting it up, getting it working, making it look reasonable. Temperature, I could put it in JSON mode. And this is definitely something I've seen playing around with this yesterday. You get a little bit of weird formatting. Sometimes it had the triple backtick plain text, like it was trying to render Markdown. Sometimes it would put an extra summary field in when I asked it not to. I'm not sure if JSON mode would negate that, or putting it into a more structured format would negate some of the oddities I'm seeing in kind of just raw prompt output. Something I'm likely to explore in the context of this project, right? It's nice and small. I get just enough surface area to start understanding some of these issues without having it be too complicated. All right, so I'm just going to copy the full transcript. You can see there's no transformation. If I put it in here and I tell it to start, it's going to give me effectively rendered Markdown like I was seeing. Okay, cool. So you got key takeaways, whereas before I think I had those combined on this one. Difference in output, right? Now maybe I could put it into a JSON structure. It would change that. I don't have any examples. I don't have any kind of eval type things associated with this. I have no tools. This is just as dead simple as it comes. Another thing that I found really useful from here, so if I commit, I can go put it into a new prompt. I can literally just effectively fork the prompt by just giving it a new name, which was great because that's effectively what I did when it came to the other prompts. I started there, I adjusted it, saved it into a new name. So we can see here, group it into paragraphs so it's easy to digest. This is the readability one where it starts to identify readers, list the speakers with name if known, focus on grouping into paragraphs and emphasis on key ideas. I'm not sure how much this piece got picked up. But you can see all the settings. If I want to go see the commits, I can see the versions of it, which I just, as a developer, love. Makes life easier. Yeah, I could fork this. Let's say it's public, or let's say I'm working on a project and I want to bring it into another one. More than capable of forking it, just like saving it with a different name. If I fork it, I now get a different version of that prompt with its own history on whatnot. I don't know too much about the use cases or the language. I'd imagine it's more if I'm going to list it publicly. You can see who sees it, what the license is. So that's the kind of the other neat thing about Langsmith is there's a public repo of prompts. You can go explore, go experiment. Like I love having seed information to work with. I think there's a lot of utility and value there. So if I go back, all right, it's doing its thing. Edit in Playground, I'm going to get the same thing, right? If I put it here, paste, run. It's going to group it into paragraphs. Yes, so it's a little easier to digest. And even if I had the raw text output, it wouldn't be this. It would just be like a glob of text. All right. What is the other thing that is interesting? Deployments. My projects. If I go back to projects and I now go error rate, 22% latency. Oh, that's interesting. So now this is where I get the observability side of things. Let me just make sure I'm tracking correctly. Prompt management, so observability and integration. So yeah, it's going to tell me some things about the prompts that have run. So here's the transcript. It's prompt playground. So this is going to be isolated from the production runs. Rather nice. Having had a little bit of experience here, it's really useful to be able to kind of isolate what's my testing from what's the production data. Really, really useful. Tells me the type, latency, total tokens, costs, time to first token. Lots of just super useful information. This is really kind of cool. But, you know, I don't know about threads or monitor. I believe there are ways to, oh, it's telling me how to set things up. Run rules, so I could have it call back. I could add to a data set, run an evaluation, trigger a webhook. Maybe I want to log this in a different system outside of where it's coming in here. I could set up alerts for pager duty. Something's gone off, alert me. Like it's super nice that it's all integrated. It's got a lot of those rudimentary observability things that you're looking for. This is new, this is different to kind of traditional application observability. So I do appreciate the attention to detail here. Let's go back to projects. Scribe AI is the project where this all lives. And you can start to see some of the things that have run. See the long latency, prompt templates. I mean, I could probably build bigger chains. Maybe there's value in putting small pieces together. I don't know. It's all an experiment, right? Okay, you know, so it's cool. I've got the information. I can come have a look. I see what's going on. I can look at the LLM calls. Just what was it like? Varies latencies here, 13 seconds to 1 second. You know, the higher latency ones also seem to have a lot more tokens. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, you know, ways of kind of drilling into that information. All super cool. I don't have any data sets. I have no experiments or no data sets. These are definitely things I need to figure out how to use on this tool. I don't have any annotations. We've seen the playground. I don't have any deployments. So I'm just really focusing kind of these two, the prompts, the playgrounds, I guess, and the observability. Three things there. There's some documentation. It's where I eventually found the right pieces of information to hook into all this. Oh, you've seen all my empty folders there. So what was it like to make this happen? Well, it was pretty straightforward because it was all in the Python. And this is pretty well built out. I made a service factory. service factory to kind of contain the various implementations. Like I said, I wasn't going for poetically beautiful code, but just doesn't work. Obviously, because it's an abstract class, it's got to get transformation service, which does the lookup, pull the keys, happy days, things go on. The service is the abstract class piece that the factory's servicing. You can see I've got a few ideas I'd like to extend into: translations, image generation, kind of feeding into the multimodal piece. When I think about, can I get it to make a blog entry and a feature image? Things that I do on day to day. What can it do to help me there? As far as getting things input, I mean, it really was just including a few key services. I don't think I need it. I think it was just LangChain, wasn't it? Yeah, LangChain. I had Langsmith. But I don't use that client either. So I mean, there's definitely things to clean up. But it was pull that through, set this environment variable, set this environment variable as per the documentation for Langsmith. Fire it up and then kind of watch it fail, realizing, much to my unawareness. Let me just bring that window back up. That these projects were more universal. I've got don't seem to be able to get back to it, but I've got a few different settings here. Oh, here it is. So there's a personal workspace as well. This is where I'd initially tried connecting to and failing. So once I had the right key, I had things going through, I was getting a result. It just kind of worked, right? I could dial in the various elements of the prompt in the playground, have it there. Now, I don't have to pull it from the hub. I could very much have just used the, I could have kept the prompts here and then just passed them through to the OpenAI stuff. They could have all been in the code. It's a little harder to manage. I don't like the fact that I don't have a playground. When I get around to making the evals, happy days, there's some more things there. Things just generally work a little bit better managing them through a platform than trying to do it all yourself. Now, the one thing that I don't have access to that I wish I did is the ability to kind of set environments. Maybe that comes at a paid tier. Maybe this tier doesn't have it. It's not super critical for me right now, but it would be nice to have environments and do deployments. You can peg to a specific version. So if I knew that version 3 of my prompt was the one I wanted in production, I could do that. But I still got code changes, some kind of contextual string I have to manage somewhere else, which can be just overly burdensome. So once I got it in, got it working, it was happy days. Things went well. Let's see here, what's on the agenda. So going through that kind of what's the future for this? Well, it's one thing to get this working on my system locally, to say, hey, look, it adds some value. I really like this. I want to get this up and deployed. I want to get this out at scribe.codex.dev. Something live that I can work with. Other people can log in. They can do some stuff. So right now we've got a simple dashboard. It just says, hi, welcome to the dashboard. Ideally, this component comes through. There's a history. Like I said, there's a chat dialogue where you can chat with some of the video content. For me specifically, it'd be nice to be able to pull in my blogs. I've got that in the WebCat custom GPT. I've got the Python code for that. Like that was the last bit of code I tried generating with ChatGPT, and it took a little bit to get there, but I think it was faster. It's like a 120 line long Python Azure function. Help me port this script over Took a little bit. It got me there. It's, I think, in one of my earlier streams, probably around 10 or 11, maybe 12 episode. So a while back. So I was really happy to see that I was able to build something more value. I use this pretty routinely, and so I want to get it up. I want to get it hosted, and I want to see if other people can use that. So this will continue to expand, even if I do pursue kind of the other concept that I'm thinking about here. Langsmith, yeah, I need to get more familiar. I need to bring some evals in. I definitely feel like I'm flying a little blind. I need to put some tests down. I need to put some build process in all around Scribe AI. I just got to mature some of this stuff. I think the experimentation piece is done. I can say that there is value. Now I want to figure out how to continue to unlock that value for a senior engineer. Remember, senior is anything from senior to director here. Features, like I said, there's going to be a couple more features. I'll bring it in. There'll be like a history. There'll be a chat with. There'll be create your own custom prompt, and that's probably about where I'll end things, at least for now, until I can get some help. Deployment, I'm not sure if I want to Terraform this and to chat with ChatGPT to Terraform. It might be an interesting experience. It might just be an absolute nightmare. I'm going to try it though. I will likely have a session on that, maybe Friday. Friday's my next streaming day. Might start experimenting with the deployment process there. So Codex. Codex is that coding copilot tool that I'm thinking about. I definitely think there's enough of understanding around how this multimodal workflow works. When I say multimodal, I'm talking about the ability to come here, help me refactor this code. And then I go paste some code in like this, and it tells me how to refactor it. The other piece of the puzzle is coming here and going, oh, something's off. Taking a screenshot, selecting the screenshot, capture selected portion, going here and copying it, and then starting a new session. Don't want to cross pollute, and going, help me add in a second screen where people can paste their transcripts. And obviously I'd give it this in the code, and I'm not going to go through the whole exact action. Actually, maybe I will. It really doesn't take long. Okay, so I'm in the util directory, pwd source util /UI. All these scripts do is basically concatenate all the code into a single text file. Why? So I can go do something like this. Tell you what, let me, given this code, help me add in a second input region that takes transcripts and does the same enhancements. Image for reference. Now, likely I'd probably be doing something more like trying to debug a visual issue if I'm giving it input like this, but you kind of get the idea. I give it some code, I give it the file, I give it a screenshot, so I'm not relying just on text, I'm relying on the image input, kind of the vision piece as well. Anything to enrich the volume of context. Oh, look, I got a A/B test. Which response do I like? I'll go with this one. Okay, so now it's going to give me a breakdown of how to go do that. It's going to give me the code. This is the piece I'd love to see come through as a diff. Just make it a little bit easier as an engineer to kind of merge those changes back in. And I don't have to sit through the teletype piece. I love it as a user, but like when I have long chunks of code, it gets to be hard. One of the issues I'll have to handle is obviously synthetically backfilling those types of regions, understanding, oh, okay, cool, not that this is missing, it's just I have to synthetically backfill from the current version of code into that so that when it generates a diff, it knows what's there. Obviously, there'll be a whole new world of problems, a whole new set of things. Maybe generative AI can help. Maybe it absolutely will get in the way. I don't know. It's a journey. It's my bit of exploration in this space. All right, and so now see, I'm still sitting here. Wouldn't it be nice if it was done? There was a diff. I could go look, accept, reject some of those changes. Coming into more traditional tooling here. But I mean, that's the idea. Recapture that workflow. My multimodal. I'd love to be able to kind of go from VS Code, Snap, Chat. Snap. You put the image in, give it the chat about the code. It just goes. It just knows, right? Maybe I'm being super ambitious and I'll just never get there. Who knows? But it's all in the name of providing value to senior engineers, seniors through directors who still write code, maybe even CTOs, smaller startups, by giving it the ability to understand the larger context, by leaning into some of these like RAG practices that we're already trying, some already established like dependency tracing techniques within software. And being able to just unlock the next level of value here. I know it's going to be a challenge. Like the chat dialogue is just something I'm not super interested in doing, but it's got to happen. There's a lot of finesse there. And then it opens up model swapping. I'm a little less constrained to what the free tooling can offer. And if I'm going to spend $15, I could probably get months and months and months of GPT-4 usage out of that. Allows me to try the latest llama model or this or that, or to find what model works right for what piece of the puzzle, right? Like it doesn't all have to just be one model. Like maybe certain scenarios require different models. Maybe someday it can draw me an image of what the design should look like. No, I don't think so. Stick with the designers and screenshotting their stuff and kind of feeding it into the workflow. But yeah, that's kind of it. I think there's a lot of lessons here in challenging the way I think about writing software, efficiencies to be gained. Hopefully the tool itself kind of adds value to people's workflows. Scribe AI, I think, has the potential to change workflows. Kind of looping back to that, it'd be really cool to get like a Zoom plugin feature where it just does this automatically. There's no download and drop. Like it's just there. You've got like the summary, key point summary, and keyword extraction sitting right next to your transcripts and video already. Cool. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to hop on and talk about. I definitely want to look at deploying this in the next session or two as I continue to kind of noodle what it's like to build for Gen AI with Gen AI. All right, folks. Well, I hope you found that all informative, useful, enlightening. Maybe not, maybe so. Either way, I'm going to keep at it. I'm enjoying this. I think there's value here. At least that's what I'm hearing from a few folks that have gotten a hold of me about these efforts. And if you got anything to say, you got some insights, please leave them in the comments. Love to hear them. All right. Well, I hope you found it informative and have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.